We're starting today's build with a pristine, fully equipped 1970s police cruiser. It has perfect chrome, an immaculate interior, and heavy-duty pursuit suspension. We are going to take this immaculate kit and intentionally destroy it. We need to strip away the authority and engineer decades of rapid decay to recreate a very specific, rusted-out teenage beater I owned before I even had a driver's license. To turn this cruiser into a civilian piece of junk, the first step is a purge. We toss the police sirens, we throw out the light bars, and we ditch the high-performance wheels for the standard stock rims. Model kits are manufactured to celebrate showroom perfection. This build is a technical exercise in simulating years of absolute abuse and neglect. The subject of this destruction is a 1979 Chevy Nova. Before it became the ultimate high school parking lot staple, it was marketed through standard dealership channels as a reliable, everyday compact car. There is a persistent urban legend about the Nova. The myth claims that Chevrolet saw massive sales failures in Spanish-speaking countries because the two words Nova translate literally to "it doesn't go." The sales data proves the legend wrong. The Nova actually sold extremely well in Latin America. In fact, there is a massive petrol company in the region operating under the name Nova, proving the word carried no negative association for drivers. The car didn't fail because of a corporate marketing error. The no-go reputation of my specific Nova was entirely the result of the catastrophic mechanical decisions made by me and my friends. We start the weathering process on the interior. I'm taking a hobby knife to the seats to simulate tears, carving deep into the plastic to mimic the metal springs that used to actually pop through the upholstery and stab you in the leg. Because I didn't have my license yet, the car was constantly borrowed by an older friend. He treated it like a disposable asset, regularly getting drunk and abandoning the car at random parties across town for days at a time. One afternoon, we tracked the car down to a neighborhood we didn't recognize. We walked up to the driveway and found a literal wood-splitting axe buried deep into the front left fender. We yanked the axe out, drove home, and left the hole exactly as it was. The damage compounded a few weeks later. A friend fell asleep at the wheel late at night and coasted the Nova directly along a chain-link fence, shredding the paint and metal down the entire driver's side. I didn't bother fixing any of it. The car had become a rolling, rusted timeline of our teenage negligence. The cosmetic damage was nothing compared to what we did to the underside. As we build out the chassis on this model, we have to replicate the custom front brake lockout system we installed. This schematic shows the Nova's bare chassis and brake lines. We intercepted the hydraulic lines and installed a manual valve to lock the front wheels completely stationary. We also rerouted the windshield washer tubing into the rear wheel wells, wiring them to a dash toggle to spray bleach onto the rear tires. The chemical reaction produced massive, thick white smoke during burnouts. We wanted to test the limits of this setup, so we initiated a burnout in reverse. Smoke billowed up through the missing rear speakers into the cabin. Then, the custom brake lock suddenly slipped. The rear tires caught traction, and the car launched backward, flying straight into a telephone pole. Our backyard engineering had finally exceeded our ability to control the vehicle. The no-go Nova was dead in the parking lot. A few weeks after the crash, the car was technically still running. A friend tossed me $50 to borrow it for the weekend, and that was the last time I ever saw it. He claimed he parked it somewhere and simply forgot the neighborhood. I wrote it off as a loss. Then, 3 or 4 months later, my phone rang. It was an impound lot. The police had found the unregistered car abandoned on the side of a road and traced the old VIN back to me. The yard manager asked if I wanted to come collect my vehicle. I asked him what the outstanding storage fees were for a car that had been sitting in his lot for a quarter of a year. He told me the bill was $3,500. I had paid a couple $100 for a primer-colored, axe-dented death trap. I simply replied, "Nova? Never heard of it," and hung up the phone. By abandoning it at the impound lot, I guaranteed the real car met the crusher. It was inevitably compacted into a block of scrap metal alongside thousands of other forgotten beaters. But the model survives. Looking at the finished build, the contrast is stark. We took a kit designed to represent flawless automotive engineering and dragged it through the mud, rust, and teenage chaos of reality. Next time on Modeling Life in Cars, We move on from the Nova to a slightly more reliable but equally ridiculous vehicle, my Aunt Debbie's 1987 Hyundai Excel. The real Nova may be rusting in pieces somewhere, but having this model on the shelf keeps the memory of the most chaotic car I ever owned perfectly intact. Thanks for watching.